Polls have opened in Romania in a rerun of last year's annulled presidential election. Casting ballots amid the country's worst political crisis in decades, Romanians appear to favour hard-right nationalist candidate George Simion. He's positioned himself as more moderate than the far-right pro-Russian candidate who won last time. Simion has denounced Moscow and says he favours strengthening the NATO alliance. An initial vote last November was cancelled over concerns Russia had a hand in boosting Simion's ally to a first-round victory. Let's take a look at what's at stake.
The frontrunner, far-right candidate George Simion. He faces 10 other candidates and is favored to win the first round on Sunday. That follows the shock victory in November of Simion's far-right ally, Călin Georgescu, who ran a social media-fueled campaign. Romania's constitutional court annulled the election after allegations of Russian meddling on social media emerged. Georgescu was banned from running again. That helped create a political crisis, eroding faith in public institutions. This election is seen as a referendum on democracy itself. Simion has ridden popular anger over the annulment of the first round. He's critical of the European Union and of military aid to Ukraine, but has pitched himself as pro-NATO and pro-Donald Trump. Trump.
No longer having American troops in Romania seems dangerous to me. And I am the only candidate who can stop them from leaving. We are the natural allies. We are ideologically aligned with the Republican Party, the MAGA movement.
But Simion's anti-Kyiv stance might complicate Romania's key position in Russia's war on Ukraine. On the southeastern flank of the EU and NATO, Romania shares a border of more than 600 kilometers with Ukraine, and it has strategic access to the Black Sea, which is militarily dominated by Russia. The NATO military alliance has been bolstering its airbase in Romania on the Black Sea to be the biggest in Europe, to host more than 10,000 troops by 2030. And the Romanian port of Constanța has played a major role in exporting Ukrainian grain. Meanwhile, there are fears that disinformation will again affect the results.
We also see a lot of fear of censorship, and also a lot of voices that are saying that basically this is no fight against disinformation, but it's a way of silencing legitimate political opposition.
With so much in the balance, the stakes are high. If no candidate wins more than 50% of the ballots, a runoff will be held on May 18th.
DW's Anchal Vohra is following the election for us from Bucharest. Anchal, I believe you're just outside a polling station there in Bucharest. Tell us about this election. Has this rerun actually galvanized support for the far right?
Well, we are at a polling station right now where the Liberal candidate, Nicu Șordan, or someone who is at least seen as a Liberal and pro-EU candidate, just cast his vote, and I think he wouldn't want to say the same. I don't think he believes that this election has galvanized support for the far right. In fact, we asked him just that question a short while ago, right after he cast his ballot, and he said that there are certain section of people who perhaps support the far right, but not everybody in Romania. This is also the assessment of several experts that we have been talking to. So it's hard to say, but is there a genuine support for the far right? That's right. But there's also support for pro-EU candidates and more liberal candidates, candidates who perhaps, are more supportive of aid for Ukraine, amongst other things.
And there's as I mentioned, the far right, George Simion, who's their front runner. What's he promising voters?
Well, he's essentially saying that he is a Trump fan, and he's presenting himself as a Trumpist, and he's saying that under him the country can have a significantly better relationship with the US. Now, this is quite important. Whoever is in power in Romania, people here are looking for an assurance that the party in power will have a good relationship with the US, because those security assurances are important. He's saying that his ideology and that of his parties is aligned that with MAGA, which is Make America Great Again. UN movement. He's saying that the aid to Ukraine should be cut off. However, he's toned down his rhetoric on Russia a little bit, trying to create a bit of a distance between him and the Kremlin, because until not very long ago, he was seen as a pro-Russia candidate as well. But he said he's tried to give the impression that that's not the case. Experts say that seems to be deliberate. He's kept his views on Russia deliberately confusing. He's not said that he wants Romania to exit the EU in any form, instead, trying to create the opposite impression. But there is some sort of deliberate confusion as far as, how supportive is he of Romania's relationship with the EU and support to Ukraine as well.
What's behind this support he's able to get? Not just him, but we saw in the annulled vote as well, with a seeming far right win there. What's the main issue for people? Are they just frustrated with the status quo?
Well, that seems to be the impression. There is just an anti-establishment mood here. People do not want the same faces. They're upset about the economic affairs in the country. In fact, we spoke to a young voter a short while ago, and he said that he'd leave Romania if he doesn't see the problems here resolved. So there is, in general, an anti-establishment view, which means none of the old guard politicians are welcome here. That's what people we've been talking to here say. But does that mean that everybody likes the far right? That's not the general assessment. Some people are, in fact, going for actors like George Simion, more populist actors. There is frustration over inflation as well, fear of war in Ukraine spilling over. There is certainly that segment of society here in Romania, but not everybody, and we don't know how many support whom, and that's what actually the election here is for. But the people trailing, the candidates trailing, happen to be two candidates who are seen as centrist. One is Nicu Dan and the other is Antonescu.
Okay. DW's Anchal Vohra in Bucharest. Thank you very much.